Welcome back to the Holistic Health Bites podcast, where we discuss all things metabolic health. Today I wanted to share some information on a rare sugar called allulose and a randomized clinical controlled pilot study using it as part of a diabetes-friendly diet. Now we know sugar intake increases the likelihood of developing and worsening type 2 diabetes. So how could a specific type of sugar actually be good for diabetes? Allulose is unique. Allulose is a natural sugar that is found in small quantities in figs and raisins, as well as other plants in nature. Unlike sucrose or regular sugar, allulose does not increase blood sugar or cause an insulin spike. It is a white crystalline powder that can be used in essentially every way that regular sugar can. Studies have shown that allulose is not broken down in the body, but rather can be found directly in the urine. As it transits through the body, though, several powerful beneficial actions take place. Number one, it's been shown to reduce the risk of atherosclerosis by inhibiting certain immune proteins and upregulating cholesterol uptake by HDL. Number two, it interacts with your gut microbes to reduce inflammatory symptoms and supports the population of certain friendly species. Number three, it has anti-obesity properties through inhibiting fatty acid production and increasing energy expenditure and fat burning. Number four, it has anti-diabetes properties through reducing post-meal blood sugar levels, stimulating GLP-1 release, which is your body's natural Ozempic, and potentially protecting the beta cells of the pancreas from developing insulin resistance. Number five, it has antioxidant properties through scavenging of free radicals. Number six, it has neuroprotective properties in that it increases intracellular glutathione synthesis, which is your master antioxidant. This is just to name a few of these amazing benefits found in this sugar. In 2023, researchers in Japan published a pilot study using allulose as part of a diabetes diet in a randomized clinical controlled trial, and they published the results in the journal Nutrients. This study included 24 patients with type 2 diabetes. They randomly assigned them to either group A or group B. Glucose levels were tested in both groups using continuous glucose monitors. Group A was fed a diabetic diet 3 times daily for 2 days. Then they had a washout period of at least 1 day, and then they were fed the same diabetic diet that contained allulose, still 3 times a day for 2 days. Group B was fed the exact same meal structure, but in reverse. So they were given the allulose inclusive diet first, then a washout period, and then the standard diabetic diet, still following 3 meals twice a day. So the exact same diet in both groups, just which one started first is the only difference. All participants followed both versions of the diet. This is a crossover trial. They made no modifications to medications or dosing throughout this trial. The primary endpoint was to evaluate post-meal blood glucose peak levels. So how high did they spike after eating their meals? Secondary measures were post-meal blood sugar trends. What did they do after eating in general? The proportion of time spent within the target range, which for this study was 70 to 180 milligrams per deciliter. Personally, I think 180 is a little high, but that's what they used in this study. They also looked at the proportion of time above the range, so how much time throughout the day were they above 180, and the proportion of time below the range, so how much time throughout the day were they below 70. They also looked at C-peptide before and after meals as a measure of insulin production. Questionnaires were also used to review their patient satisfaction and any feedback that the patients had directly. And they monitored for diarrhea episodes as a safety endpoint. Minor gastrointestinal distress is the most common side effect when first introducing allulose. So the results of this study were as followed. First off, there were 4 patients excluded from the study, either because they didn't end up meeting the inclusion criteria or they had personal reasons that they wanted to pull up. So in the end, there were 20 patients analyzed. The diabetes diet group without allulose had a mean post-meal glucose peak of 191 milligrams per deciliter. The allulose-containing group had a mean peak level of 173, 18 points less, and within the target range. The total area under the curve, or meaning just their total glucose exposure, also decreased. The time above range decreased, as did their C-peptide levels, indicating less insulin was released in the allulose group. There were no statistically significant changes for time in range or time below range, although the allulose group did show more time in range and more time below range, but just not statistically significantly different. Patients reported no noticeable change in the flavor, smell, quality of food, color, appearance, nothing different about the food. There were no complaints about the taste, no this food is too sweet, or it tasted different, it looked different, no complaints of anything. And actually the participants didn't even know which meals contained the allulose. They couldn't discern which was which. There was also no diarrhea increase noted. Overall, this is a very positive outlook on the prospect of including this rare sugar for improvement in blood glucose levels and reducing insulin release. Now, this is a pilot study, so it was very small in sample size and only for a few days. So clearly further research is needed to more fully assess long-term risks and benefits. But this really could be a fantastic way for someone with diabetes, prediabetes, insulin resistance, or any of these blood sugar-related conditions to get a hold of them. This could be a really exciting way to use food to heal the body, along with your normal low carbohydrate, healthy lifestyle as well. This could be the extra boost that people need to really reverse these conditions. So I welcome any questions or comments that you have. Until the next, be well and vibrant.